Disney has officially sued Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, alleging that the governor has waged a relentless campaign to weaponize government power against Disney. We've got the latest updates to explain just how Disney ended up embroiled in this legal battle and what might be next here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. So Disney and DeSantis have been battling for the better part of a year now, and things have escalated to the courtroom. A lawsuit has been filed in federal court by Disney that argues DeSantis has orchestrated a campaign to punish Disney for its stated views, and that this now threatens Disney's business. The feud has been simmering for a while, but things have begun to heat up in the past month, with the DeSantis-appointed board taking over the special district in which Disney World resides. Disney's response thus far has been much more quiet and subtle, so this lawsuit has escalated things dramatically. Let's discuss briefly what's brought us to this point. So in early 2022, Florida's Don't Say Gay quote-unquote bill, as it has come to be known, started garnering more attention in the media. In March, Disney addressed the bill, taking a stance directly opposing it and pledging $5 million to organizations that work to protect LGBTQIA+ rights, along with apologizing for a delayed reaction to the bill. Disney later made a stronger statement against the bill as it was passed, indicating that it should not have been passed and that Disney would work toward its repeal. This prompted Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to indicate that Disney had crossed a line. In what many, including Disney, view as a form of retaliation, the Florida legislature and Governor DeSantis signed a bill into law that would dissolve Disney's Reedy Creek Improvement District. Now, the Reedy Creek Improvement District was created by the state of Florida in 1967 as a special district that gave Walt Disney World complete control over its own municipality, with control over services like power and water, sewage, garbage collection, road construction and maintenance, environmental testing and monitoring, and fire protection and emergency medical services. While the RCID was not completely dissolved, the new board was implemented and the district was renamed the Florida Tourism Oversight District. The previous board of the district had voted on measures that may protect the district from the new and more extensive state control, but Ron DeSantis has responded again by declaring those agreements void in the eyes of the current board. Moments after that declaration, Disney filed a lawsuit in the federal court against DeSantis and some members of the new board. Those are the very basics. We have loads of articles on DisneyFoodblog.com covering all the developments and videos on the channel if you'd like to do a deep dive on this situation. So let's talk about this lawsuit. The lawsuit was filed Wednesday, April 26, 2023, in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Florida. It alleges, quote, a targeted campaign of government retaliation orchestrated at every step by Governor DeSantis as punishment for Disney's protected speech now threatens Disney's business operations, jeopardizes its economic future in the region, and violates its constitutional rights, unquote. Within the complaint, Disney emphasized the benefits the company has brought to the state. For more than half a century, Disney has made an immeasurable impact on Florida and its economy, establishing Central Florida as a top global tourist destination. Disney is one of Central Florida's largest taxpayers. Disney is also one of the largest employers in the state. In Disney's view, there is no room for disagreement about what happened here. Disney expressed its opinion on state legislation and was then punished by the state for doing so. Within the lawsuit, Disney identifies violations of the Contract Clause, the Takings Clause of Fifth Amendment, the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, and multiple First Amendment violations by Governor DeSantis and members of the board. And Disney argues that the leaders of the state haven't been subtle in their reasons for the attack and are in clear violation of the First Amendment. Instead, Disney claims, quote, they have proudly declared that Disney deserves this fate because of what Disney said. Disney even pointed out how the Florida representative who introduced the Reedy Creek dissolution bill once shared, quote, you got me on one thing, this bill does target one company. It targets the Walt Disney Company, unquote. Within the lawsuit, there are several citations to comments verbally made and written by DeSantis identifying these actions as retaliation against the company for its stance on the Don't Say Gay bill. The other amendment violations center around the latest declarations from the Florida Tourism Oversight District Board. So on the same day of Disney's lawsuit, let's talk about those board decisions. The board of the Florida Tourism Oversight District voted to void contracts and agreements set in place by the previous board. A developer agreement that, quote, set in stone, unquote, Disney's rights over the next 30 years. Regardless of what the new board says or does, it was established in one of the last board meetings of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. This agreement essentially limited the new board to only having sway over maintaining roads and basic infrastructure. It bars the district from using the Disney name without the corporation's approval or fanciful characters such as Mickey Mouse, and bars the board from regulating the height of buildings, which would be solely under the purview of the Federal Aviation Administration. You may have seen this all come to light a few weeks ago under headlines talking about Disney and King Charles due to the use of the rule against perpetuities. That clause made the agreement valid until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England. Alan Lawson, former Florida Supreme Court justice now working with the board, argued that Disney's agreements with the old board were invalid because the board attempted to act without the proper legal authority, the action was attempted without following the proper notice and procedural steps required by law, and the agreement violated the Constitution and other substantive laws. So basically for now, the new board has adopted the full legislative findings and essentially declared the development agreement and restrictive covenants invalid. This established the board as the superior authority, which essentially does away with the planning board and gives the Board of Supervisors power over planning, zoning, land development regulations, and more, even within the city of Lake Buena Vista and the city of Bay Lake. For these planning matters, it also makes the Board of Supervisors the final decision-making authority for the district, and no further administrative appeal is available. Also passed by the board on April 26th is the ability to limit Disney's decision-making regarding COVID-19 policies in the future to some extent. So where do things stand now? This latest step by the board has prompted Disney to file their lawsuit. Disney's ultimate view seems to be summed up in one sentence. In America, the government cannot punish you for speaking your mind, quote unquote. Disney warns that the governor and the board he has appointed will not stop. Disney alleges that DeSantis has threatened to look at things like taxes on the hotels, tolls on the roads, developing some of the property that the district owns, with more amusement parks, and even putting in a state prison next to Walt Disney World. Disney is asking that the court declare the legislative declaration just approved by the new Reedy Creek board as unlawful, declare that the contracts Disney signed with the old board are still in effect, and declare that the laws impacting Reedy Creek, specifically the first one that would have dissolved the district and the second one that made substantial changes to the district, be declared unlawful. Basically, Disney is asking the court to just revert everything back to the way it was before DeSantis got involved and the new board stepped in. So what happens next? This will undoubtedly be a lengthy legal process that could stretch well into next year, if not further. The Central Florida Tourism Oversight District has voted to raise taxes to cover the costs of this legal battle. Those tax increases will affect businesses within the district, notably many non-Disney-owned restaurants and stores in Disney Springs. And this is quickly becoming a bigger issue than just a spat between Disney and DeSantis, and the general public is showing up at those district board meetings to voice their opinion. If the void of Disney's prior agreements holds, or at least is held in place near the future, it could affect some of the $17 billion the company hopes to invest in Walt Disney World over the next decade. New or even current construction could face delays due to permitting and land use obstructions. Disney could choose to invest money in other projects while this plays out in the courts, and the first step will be whether or not the court grants a preliminary injunction that would effectively null the board's most recent declarations for the time being. After that, timing and outcome are uncertain, but we will be reporting on developments every step of the way. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.